I remember how pure and innocent I was for so many years. Like, I wasn't an idiot. I was actually a pretty smart kid. But I was very naive about a lot of things. There were a couple times when weird situations came up throughout my youth, including teenager years, where, so I wasn't so Mormon that I believed every little thing, but I believed pretty much every little thing. I went hardcore. And this did cause a lot of problems in my childhood. Looking back at my childhood, I realized there were a lot of behaviors I had, especially that revolved around the church, that were compulsive in nature. I didn't realize I had OCD until I was like 18. But most of the compulsive behaviors I have that really damaged me happened because of teachings of the church. Programming. And what I mean by that is programming to not question, to literally doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith. You know, is Dieter Uchtdorf? And so constantly questioning yourself, never questioning authority. I would hear a conference talk and pretty much follow it to the letter. And so even if they said something that kind of didn't resonate with me, I'd be like, well, no, I have to do it this way. And, you know, you're taught that everyone isn't perfect and that they make mistakes. But in my mind, a mistake was like, oh, maybe they yelled at their brothers when they were a kid. Like, they're still instruments of God, right? That's what we're taught. And so if we're taught that they're instruments of God and yet that they're imperfect, it's really dissonant to say you gotta follow their words so closely, and not take into account the fact that maybe what they have to say is not revelation. Can you just admit that you are fallible? I was praised for my faithfulness a lot, and this didn't really puff me up in the chest, as they talk about, because I had very low self-esteem. So it was really good for me to hear stuff like that, to remind myself that I had some worth, because my worth, my identity, was the fact that I was a Mormon and that I did music. And those two things defined me. That was my life. I had no concept of boundaries. I still have a very hard time with boundaries. And I've been seeing these, I'm slowly reprogramming, literally reprogramming, because the more you habitually do something, your brain rewires the neurons to take that path. And so I've been deprogramming and reprogramming my brain from really toxic behaviors and thoughts that I've had for literally decades, because this was my whole life. It wasn't all bad for a while. In my ignorance, it was good. I knew that wasn't right, at least for me. It felt very off. It felt very controlling and very fake. And how can you promise me something that you don't have the power to give me? We promise this will be beneficial in your life. What if it wasn't? I trusted my feelings, and it was hard, but I knew that God and the Spirit, and just like my guts, my intuition, me. After digging through and crawling out of a tunnel, there is much light and much growth.